What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday.
I was gonna say happy Friday.
I know, right? I was gonna say happy Friday as well, but no, it's Tuesdays, man. It's the
Switching
new
it up
day.
on you.
Exactly, right? We got to keep these guys on their toes. There's no way we can have them always expecting a Friday live.
Nope.
But yeah, we didn't do a live on Friday. Monday was the holiday, but we decided, rather than jumping into another market analysis, we would kick it off with another podcast style one, right? Guys seem to really like it. We enjoy doing them. And we just launched something new in our Discord where Jordan's going to be keeping a trade journal. So we thought it made a lot of sense to come on and talk to you guys about keeping a trade journal, right? And the reason why we wanted to talk about this is because keeping a trade journal is one of those things that, it's promoted all over the internet as like the way to get better. But the way that it's promoted, does it really make you better to keep a trade journal that way? That's what we're going to sort of dig into and talk about some of the key things you want to be doing when you're keeping a trade journal so that the results, so that it actually leads to better results. So Jordan, why don't you start off by chatting about trade journals a bit? Like, do you keep a trade journal at all?
I used to actually. I used to keep a really in-depth trade journal, and that helped me a lot, in my opinion. This needs here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to keep a really in-depth trade journal, and it helped me out a lot. I would run it by other people as well to get feedback. Luckily, I had people who were higher up on the ladder than I was to help me out with it. When we're keeping a trade journal, I think it's really important to like have other people look at your work, criticize it, also give you feedback, and then for you to take that in and say, okay, well, given what they've said here, I should maybe do this next time.
So when you're keeping a trade journal, like, most people will, log their entries and exits, things that they missed, things that they thought went well, and what they're going to try and carry forward from it. Was your trade journal set up in a similar structure? What were you actually logging? Let's say back when you started your first trade journal, and maybe you can share a story of how that maybe your trade journals evolved as you started sharing it with more people, things like that.
Yeah, I think your idea gets better. So initially, the beauty about writing a trade journal is when you like, how you always tell me, Sean, when sometimes you have this great idea in your head and then you go to explain it to someone and it's like, this makes I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So actually writing it out on paper and getting some feedback and, just personally writing it out, you're going to start to understand your thoughts better, your whole trade analysis better. Right. And then people are going to criticize. I know we had like some banter in our group, recently, and that might have been because it's say someone posting, it didn't really understand the idea properly. And so you get other people coming in and giving feedback and saying, hey, it doesn't look like you actually understand what's going on here. And then right after that, he started to, evolve, and it seems like he's already taking the next steps. So I think it's super important that, you write your idea out on paper.
100%. 100%. Like, I think that's the biggest thing about it, right? But the hard part as well is sometimes I think you can think your idea is good. And because it's your idea, even when you write it out, it might sound okay to you, which is why I feel like one of the biggest things is being able to bounce it off other people.
100%.
Right? Tell me about like, in terms of what you actually started to write out, how did it change over time?
Yeah. So one thing you'll notice with almost every beginner journal or every beginner idea is they'll tell you an idea like, hey, I think this is going to happen. You know what? Why don't we talk about my current talent position? So I'm short ball on TAL in Jan 2022. And I wrote down there, hey, I'm short ball here. I think ball's overpriced. And what a lot of beginners will do is if they're wrong on the trade. So let's say, for example, Tal blows out and they lose money. What they will do is they will look back and say, I missed this. I missed X, I missed Y. And they'll actually always say that. If they knew that stuff before, then they would have,
Made a
had a
different
good,
decision.
made a different decision, had a good trade. But the issue is what they're implicitly saying is I should be right 100. I could probably get to 100% hit rate. Right. The thing is the thing is when you make a trade, there's a possibility that the thing blows up. And if it does blow up, you don't need to go back and say, I missed this. Of course, you got to go and look at the analysis. And sometimes you do miss things. For example, the ARRY trade I took, I totally missed that this thing was being investigated. But I'm not, if let's say China comes out and says, hey, we're actually not going to be putting restrictions on any of these companies and we're actually going to be funding them, right? I'm not going to go back and say I missed this, because that was actually one of the possibilities, the potential outcomes. And so I say, hey, I was wrong on this trade. Time to move to the next one. And I'm not always going to go back and try to overfit or say, oh, I missed this, right? As a good trader, we need to embrace that we're going to be wrong a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And even let's say you're selling vol and you're a fantastic vol seller. Well, yeah, sure, you might be able to get that hit rate up to let's say 70%, right? But you're still going to have those big blowouts every once in a while. So it's important that when we write these trade journals, we understand that, okay, here's our idea. It could be wrong, right? And if we did miss something, it has to be really objective and something like we didn't think of that might have happened, and we take that back for the next trade. But it's okay to be wrong, and that's something that I think a lot of beginner traders don't understand. They want this 100% hit rate.
When it comes to what you actually journal, what do you think is more important? Journaling the research that you did, or really clearly explicitly stating your idea, or when you would exit? What are the key pieces of your trade journal that you try to write down before entering the position, so that you can objectively look back at it and perform a better post-trade analysis, win or lose?
Yeah, so it's really just and this is the fundamental of what we try to teach at PA. You have an idea. If you're right, you should get paid. If you're wrong, you don't get paid. So what you're really trying to do is you're just trying to say, hey, I think TAL is overpriced because of X, Y, and Z. And if this happens, I'm going to make as much money as I could. And if it doesn't happen, I'm probably going to lose money. Mm-hmm. So what you really want to be journaling is here's your idea. Was it right? If it was right, did you get paid? If it was wrong and you didn't get paid, that's okay, right? I see so many times people try to, put on these crazy positions and their idea is totally wrong and they make a little bit of money. That's so worrisome. That would worry me as a trader if my idea is wrong and I make money. Mm-hmm. Right? Sure, obviously we're trying to make money, and so if it was wrong and I made money, that's great. But the game doesn't stop there, right? I'm going to do another trade, and if I have some leaks there, then what happens when I'm right? Maybe I lose money. So I think it's important to just really figure out what your idea is, and when you write it down, it should be clear, and anyone should be able to understand it, right? You don't want to be talking too in depth, right? Or putting in fancy words because of fancy words. We see these guys on Twitter do it all the time. Super clear, simple idea. And, if you're right, you should be making money.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that it goes the first thing you should do is state, if you're keeping a trade journal, if you're trying to keep a trade journal, a really detailed one, do you think the first thing you should do is state your idea?
100%.
Right? Just as clearly as possible. State the idea, reasoning for the idea. When am I right? When am I wrong? How I structured it.
As clean as possible. They always say someone really knows their stuff if they could explain to a 5-year-old. If they could explain something extremely complex to a 5-year-old. If someone who's advanced can't understand you, you're probably way above your pay grade. Right? Mm-hmm. Clean and simple. I'm long vol and I'm long delta because of this simple thing, right? I'll give you guys an example for TAL. I'm short Jan 22 Vega because I think longer dated vols are extremely bid. And once realized vol settles down, implied vol on Jan 2022 is going to drop to between 45 and 48. And so I want to be short Vega so when that does happen, I make money.
So obviously you didn't pull that number out of thin air, right? You didn't come up with this idea by spinning around in a circle and throwing a dart at a board, right? So do you leave it at that, or would you share how you actually came up with this number in your trade journal as well?
Little did you know, Sean, I got a dartboard right over there, and I was throwing them. This chair spins, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I did. Would I share that in my trade journal, the fair value and how I got to that fair value? You could. I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, the more you write, the better. For me personally, I've written so much over the years. It's like I don't really want to write all of that. I want to just be clean. I think vol's, priced at 45. And for me personally, that's all I'm going to write, right? And usually, people who have chatted with me in the past know how I come up with these numbers. Where has implied vol been? Where is implied vol should be relative to other assets? Come up with that number, and that's what what's implied vol should be to realized vol. If realized vol settles down, come up with that number, and that's how I come up with my target. You should also super important actually as well. You should also, for newer traders, where are you wrong? Where are you wrong?
What do you mean by that?
If you think, because in this position, if I think TAL is worth 45, it's currently trading at 56, where am I wrong? Right? It's okay to be wrong. If China comes out and says we're putting on no restrictions, we're going to be funding a whole bunch of Chinese education companies, do I still keep my position on? Do I still try to bag hold this thing? Right? It's like you don't do that. So you have something, right? It's either a P&L stop or if something, let's say it's a binary event, and the other thing happens that you didn't want to happen, are you out? Right? That's so important because Sean, you and I both know, man, and we faded these guys over the years. There's so many bag holders.
So many.
It's like the biggest mistake I think a lot of traders make is they bag hold. They hope their idea comes to fruition.
So what do you think about, and this maybe ties into the bag holding discussion. A lot of times when people are keeping a trade journal, they'll talk about how they felt as the trade developed, the emotions that went along with the trade, things like that. Do you think that is something worth documenting at an early stage or later on, even pros and cons of doing it?
I think it really depends on your temperament as well. I mean, if you're Chris up here, guys, he's getting pretty scared on a couple of all points increase in TAL. But if you're honestly, to be honest, I wouldn't really document the emotions. You could. I'm not too sure. Sean, how do you feel about that? Do you think you would document your emotions? I feel like it's kind of redundant. It's more of a fun to chat with your friends about, hearing Chris saying he's freaking out, balls up 5 points. It's a good laugh, right? And it's good for conversation. But I don't know if it really would help you.
Yeah, for sure. It's that's the drama of it, right? That's the fun stuff to talk about. That's what we can have a laugh over. And it is stressful as well. You do feel it. It's not comfortable, right? You're short vol on TAL and it goes up 3 or 4 points and you're like, damn, maybe I'm on the wrong side. You start to panic a bit. But the thing, so I think that belongs in the realm of conversation for sure. But the thing that I'm also thinking here is, if you're including that in your trade journal, you start to assign reasons to that for why the trade's not working, right? So you start to assign that as the reason the trade's not working. So for example, this didn't make money, or I got out too early on this because I got greedy, or because I was risk averse, or I bag held it because I was being greedy, right? And then you go down that rabbit hole. Whereas, is that the rabbit hole you want to go down if you're trying to get better? right? Does that actually improve you, right? I feel like everything you keep in your trade journal should be objective as possible. So that when you do go back, you can actually pinpoint things and say, okay, here's where I maybe made a mistake, or I actually look back and this analysis was good.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think you could do that for sure. I think everyone's different. For some people it would be redundant, and maybe we're just saying that because like we've done so many trades where it's like we realize how little our emotions actually play in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe for someone starting out, maybe writing it out on paper, it will help them.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just trying to think there because especially in the earlier stages, it definitely plays a big role in your decision making. But that's more so because the decision making isn't great, not because it actually matters. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
I think that's one of the biggest things on that is pushed on social media is this that the emotions control your P&L. Right. And it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
And like,
idea.
it's funny because when it's actually a funny word. So like you often hear like it's like the disciplined trader is the one who makes money. And in everyone's mind, I'm pretty sure they picture like a monk sitting on like a mountain meditating.
Right? Yeah, he's got all the charts in his head.
Right. But I actually think discipline is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the right word to use. It's just the wrong image that pops to our minds. Right. When we think of a disciplined trader, like everyone pictures this monk in their mind when in reality they should like maybe be picturing like a businessman,
Right.
right? Like just someone who's professional.
Yeah, who's a human. And I think that's a really good point, Sean. It's the more you put emphasis on your ideas and the more you put blame on your ideas, the less you become emotional about the trade. Right. So here's an example. Like if Tao were to blow out because China did a whole bunch of stuff, I would put blame on my idea because I actually didn't do I don't think a thorough job researching these Chinese implications and what they could have on this company and on this education space. But I would never put it on my emotions, right? I know where I'm wrong. If the stock blows out, I have a certain stop loss, certain threshold. That I say I'm wrong, right? And you got to close out the position, and so you kind of take away that emotion from your trading. And you start to realize it's not really about my emotions that's going to make me money.
Got it. So you've just started keeping a little trade journal in the PA Discord now. What are your goals with that? Why are you doing it?
Yeah. So some of the guys know my bread and butter strategy has been what looks depleted. And so I'm moving into a new strategy. And as I move into something new, I really just want to, get all my ideas out there and get feedback and also hear myself write about it in a manner where other people can see it. And that's a big difference, I think, as well. When it's just you, it's easy to kind of lie to yourself or, beat around the bush. But when it's out there, it's got to be good. Just like the other day, someone posted in our group and he got a huge criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, a good trader will say, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong here, right? And I will adjust.
Got it. So that's really the goal, right? Is to share your ideas and then get some feedback.
Yeah.
Really cool. So what are you exploring? What sort of ideas, like strategies, are you looking at right now?
So two things I'm going to be looking at is earnings and distressed vol. So Tal would be an example of distressed vol. Stock gets blown out and longer dated vols go to all-time highs. That's distressed. Not just all-time highs, way past all-time highs.
Mm-hmm.
That's distressed vol. And then
trying to price, is this fair value or is this messed up?
Exactly. And then the other is going to be just earnings vol, buying and selling around earnings.
Cool. Awesome, man. Wow, we had a small turnout today, man. We had eight guys come into the live today.
Well, for example, I know like margins on a vendor right now. He,
Is he?
yeah, dude. So take this in. I haven't heard from him for about like 48 hours, and I get a text saying, like, "Hey, man, I don't even know. I don't even know what happened this weekend." So I'm imagining he's still taking it easy today. I mean, maybe he called in sick for work. I don't know.
Yeah, he's asleep right now, eh?
He's asleep right now for sure.
Ronnie, what's up, man?
What's up, Ronnie?
Hey, Ronnie, I don't know if you just tuned in or if you were here from the start, but you're definitely going to watch this one back. Want to watch this one back? It's about keeping a trade journal, how to keep a better one. Um, I think you'll really like it, and given the journey you're on, I think it'll help you a lot. All right, Jordan. Well, with that being said, I think we've covered the topic pretty clearly. Why don't we wrap up this stream here?
Yep.
Awesome, Ronnie. That makes me happy to hear, man. We'll wrap up the stream here, guys. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back doing a market analysis live in the morning. Yeah, if you guys have any questions to follow up on this, feel free to drop it in the traders chat, and we will see you there. Take it easy, everyone.
See you guys. Have a good weekend.
Bro, you just said have a good